we have to see about the transportation of gases in the human body. First, we have to see about the respiratory system. Respiratory system is the system through which every cell in the body that receives the oxygen and excretes carbon dioxide. Lungs ventilate and exhale the air through the respiratory passages, that is starting from nasal cavities, nasopharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, and finally to alveoli. This breathing in and breathing out of air through lungs is external respiration. The air is exchanged in for oxygen and out for carbon dioxide in the alveoli and through capillaries is carried out in each and every cell of the body. This exchange of gases in and exchange alveoli described as internal respiration. Functions of respiration. The main function of respiration is interchange of gases, that is oxygen, from the lungs to the tissues for internal respiration and to bring carbon dioxide to the lungs for excreting through expiration. And also that maintenance of pH and maintenance of circulation and for excretion and metabolic excretion and also maintenance of temperature. In this aspect, we have to discuss about the anatomy of the respiratory system, mechanism of gas exchange, transport of oxygen in the blood, transport of carbon dioxide in the blood, regulation of breathing and gas exchange, and also pathology of the transport disorders and the key insights for future directions. Anatomy of the lung, that is started from the nasal passages and the nasal, that is nasal cavity or nostrils and nasopharynx, larynx, bronchi or trachea and the branches of trachea, and then that is ended with alveoli. The lung, that is the primary organ of respiration, housing millions of alveoli where gas exchange occurs, that facilitating the diffusion of oxygen and carbon dioxide through thin walled structure, bronchi and bronchioles. These branching airways ensures the efficient conduction of air into the lungs with smooth muscle control, enabling regulation of airflow and resistance during respiratory effects. Bronchi and bronchioles, these branching airways ensure the efficient conduction of air into the lungs with a smooth muscle control, enabling regulation of airflow and resistance during respiratory efforts. Alveoli. The alveoli are microscopic in structure that form the sides of gas diffusion, characterized by a large surface area and a rich capillary network, optimizing gas exchange efficiency. Mechanism of gas exchange. Diffusion in alveoli. Gas exchange occurs through diffusion across the alveolar capillary membrane, driven by concretion gradient of oxygen and carbon dioxide, with respiratory efficiency enhancing personal homeostasis. Partial pressure dynamics. The movement of gases is influenced the partial pressure of oxygen and carbon dioxide. The gradients dictate the direction of diffusion in both alveoli and bloodstream. Efficiency factors. Various elements like surface area, membrane thickness, and ventilation, perfusion balance critically impact the efficiency gas exchange in the alveolar level. Mechanism and regulation of oxygen delivery. The hemoglobin is the chief respiratory pigment which carries oxygen and also carbon dioxide. It acts as the crucial role protein in red blood cells, binding oxygen in the lungs and releasing it to tissues, thereby facilitating efficient oxygen transport throughout the body. Understanding oxygen saturation. Oxygen saturation, a measure of hemoglobin binding to oxygen, is vital for gauging respiratory effectiveness and detecting potential hypoxia in patients. Influential factors. Multiple variables such as temperature, pH, and 2,3-biphosphoglycerate levels, and modulate hemoglobin affinity for oxygen, which is essential for adjusting to metabolic demands. Transport of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide transport. Carbon dioxide is transported in three main forms: dissolved in plasma through conversion to bicarbonates and bound to hemoglobin as carbamino compounds, showcasing the versatility of gas transport mechanism. Role of carbonic anhydrase. This enzyme facilitates the rapid introversion between carbon dioxide and bicarbonate, playing a main role in regulating acid-base balance and efficient transport during respiration. pH homeostasis. Importance. The transportation of carbon dioxide is critical for maintaining blood pH levels. Disturbances can lead to respiratory acidosis or alkalosis, impacting overall physiological functions. Regulation of breathing and gas exchange. Brainstem's role. The brainstem plays critical role in autonomic respiratory control, integrating signals from various sensors to modulate respiratory rate and depth to meet the body's metabolic needs. Functions of chemoreceptors. Chemoreceptors in the carotid arteries and central nervous system that detect alterations in blood gases, initiating appropriate respiratory adjustments to maintain balance during physiological changes. Impact of physical activity. As physical demands that increase the body response through elevated breathing rates and increased gas exchange deficiency to meet the highlight oxygen demand and optimize carbon dioxide clearance. Pathophysiology of gas transport disorders. Common respiratory disorders. The common disorders like chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, asthma, anemia significantly impair gas exchange, leading to sufficient oxygenation and carbon dioxide retention in the body. Impact on gas exchange. Such disorders disrupt normal respiratory function, impairing the ability of the lungs to exchange gases, which may necessitate pharmacological or therapeutic interventions to manage symptoms effectively. Clinical implications. Understanding the pathology of these disorders is vital for clinicians to diagnose, treat, and manage respiratory conditions aimed at improving patients' outcomes. Recap of major themes. We have explored the anatomy, physiology, mechanism of gas transport, and the pathophysiological aspects of respiration, emphasizing their interconnected nature. Importance of knowledge. A deep understanding of gas transport mechanism that provides foundational insights for advancing clinical interventions and public health strategies aimed at respiratory wellness. Future research directions. Future inquiries will focus on enhancing their therapeutic approaches for respiratory disorders and exploring novel techniques to optimize gas exchange and sustainable physiological function. Thank you.